The King Center's Beloved Community Talks convenes influential voices around the world, bridging the racial divides. These courageous conversations are the first of several spectacular Beloved Community Talks in 2018 surrounding this most important topic plaguing our nation today. Join us in this movement. Let's have the conversation. Let's bridge the racial divide in our nation and world.
Dr. King, when you began and you quoted your father, it was heartfelt in the sense that it reminded me of this, which is the essence of it, is that we have to have a conversation in the same room. Unfortunately, in a world of tweets and text, it's much easier to have a fight over the internet than it is to have a conversation in the same room.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is it reminds me of the best advice my grandmother, who had no education whatsoever, gave me. And it had nothing to do with this. It had to do with your wife. And she said to me, it's when she stops complaining you have to worry. Because at that moment, it means she doesn't care anymore. And I'm afraid that where we ended up heading into the last election is we stopped having conversations. Everybody had gone to their own corners.
Wow.
We weren't talking across each other. And the moment that communication broke down, you could see the pockets develop, and you could see what was then about to happen. Now, the hardest part, I think, and you've touched on this 2 or 3 times brilliantly, is when you actually do have the conversation, how is it you communicate? And I'll share this life story that I don't tell often because it's very personal, but I'll share with you. So when I was a young adult, one of my best friends was African American, and we decided to go off to Panama City. I'm sure you can imagine what we were up to, no doubt, for spring break.
Handing out Bible tracts.
That's right. And the sad part of the story was we were pulled over in what's referred to as LA, Lower Alabama.
Yeah.
Now, we get pulled over, and my friend turns to me, and he says, quick, stick your arms out the window. I said, what are you talking about?
Wow.
He said, stick your arms out the window. And I'm not going to say his name because I promised him I would never talk about it because he doesn't want to be the center of my political world.
Earl Johnson.
That's right.
No, I'm
He
playing.
said, stick your arms out the window. I go, why in the world would I stick my arms out the window? He says, because I want them to know one of us is white. At that moment, I realized I would never know what that was like. And I realized I had to work twice as hard to understand exactly his feelings, the challenges he had, the thoughts he had, the future he wanted for his children, which was so different than his own. And it made me realize many other things, like I would never know what it's like to have a baby. I would never know what it's like to be not paid fairly for what I do. I would never know those things. But it didn't mean I should give up on them. It meant that I have to redouble my efforts. And that's why in each position that I've had, whether naming judges or doing other things, I've always tried to take one step back and say, it isn't how I feel about this. I need to talk to people who lived it, because otherwise I will never know.
Thank you for watching this segment of Beloved Community Talks. For information on how you can join us in bridging the racial divide by hosting your own courageous conversation, please visit us on the web at belovedcommunitytalks.org. We hope that you were inspired and will continue to take action with us to expand the Beloved Community movement against racism through nonviolent methods around the globe. Together, we will bridge the racial divide and fulfill Dr. King's dream of building the beloved community.